problems and our great challenges, faith is more powerful than government, and nothing is more powerful than God. Since the signing of the Declaration of Independence 241 years ago, America always affirmed that liberty comes from our Creator. Our rights are given to us by God, and no earthly force can ever take those rights away. Our religious liberty is enshrined in the very First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. The American founders invoked our Creator 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Franklin reminded his colleagues at the Constitutional Convention to begin by bowing their heads in prayer. Faith has forged the identity and the destiny of this great nation that we all love. Our nation will be renewed by hard work, a lot of intelligence, and prayer. We don't want to see God forced out of the public square, driven out of our schools, or pushed out of our civic life. We want all children to have the opportunity to know the blessings of God. Prayer changes hearts, transforms lives. It uplifts the soul, inspires action, and unites us all. We thank God for the faith of our people. We praise God for the blessings of freedom. And whether we are black or brown or white, and you've heard me say this before, we all bleed the same red blood. We all salute the same great American flag. And we are all made by the same Almighty God. We ask God to forever bless this magnificent land that we all love so much, America. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Aren't we proud to have him as our president? And he's not talking about Allah, God Jehovah. So we're so proud to have Mr. Trump to not be ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, all right. Okay, next on our agenda is one of the people that Frank recognized is here tonight. That's Barbara Price. And Barbara has got a special recognition award for the Villagers for Trump. So welcome Barbara Price from down in Lake County. Her and her husband Walt done a great job down there. Barbara, thank you.
Wow, look at this crowd. I'll give you a little secret. I've only been in front of this many Trump supporters 3 times. This is the smallest one. The first time was at the inauguration. Second time was last Tuesday. I was in the 3rd row behind his family. It was an awesome, exciting event. And if you didn't make it there, I'm sorry, because it was just electrifying. Second off, I wear several different hats, but the hat that I'm most proud of wearing is Women for Trump. I'm also president of the Red Federated Republican Women's Club. I'm also a district representative for the Florida Federation. I am also an elected official. I serve on the North Lake County Hospital Board. And I just want to let you know that when I was sworn in, there were others being sworn in, and I was the only one that swore in a Bible. The others refused. So pay attention to who you are electing, please. I'm here tonight to award your club because with your help, I know that several of you may have seen Nick Adams speak here at Villagers for Trump. I had learned of Nick Adams about 3 years ago. I heard him speak and I thought, what a wonderful man. He's only a couple years older than my son, so I kind of felt like there was a connection. But his message to get out to the students, the young people, about our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution. I don't know if you know, but he has written these two books, Student Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and he's also wrote a Federalist paper for students. Very easy read. So I decided I needed to take a mission. I said, what can I do? So I went to the Lake County School Board, and I asked them, I said, I want these, I didn't ask, I told them, I want these in the schools. They said, well, we can't do it. I said, well, who can? They said, well, we can't approve them. It has to go to the curriculum board. I said, okay, where are they? I want to talk to them. So I took a handful of books, I delivered them. About 3 weeks later, I got the okay. The catch is that they would be put in to all 7th grade middle school civics classes. I said, how many do we need? They came back with this huge amount of students. I said, okay, you gave me a challenge. Okay, the next challenge, we can't pay for them. I said, oh, okay, another challenge. So we went on a mission. The Lake Federated Republican Women's Club went on a mission. We raised the money, and we are the only county in Florida that these books will be a resource for every student in 7th grade civics class. But we did not do it alone. With the help of the Trump Club of the Villages, with their generous donation, they helped us, all of you helped us reach our goal. We are so appreciative. We're so excited. The books are actually sitting in my foyer in my house right now. They're going to be delivered to the school board next week. So from the bottom of my heart, and for the students of 7th grade in Lake County, thank you so, so much.
Barbara, thank you for all you for all of us. That's my notes, I think. Hey, Barbara, is that my notes? I think you grabbed maybe. I think maybe, I don't know. Let's see what's next. Oh, that's mine too. Okay, but anyway, good job. Barbara, thank you so very much. All right. Barbara talked about a rally that was at. How many people went to Orlando that's in the room? Wow. What happened to the rest of y'all? Okay. Well, our internet went out at home and we had to go across town to see it. But anyway, Denise Neal, where are you? You're supposed to be up here now, Denise. And come on up. While Denise is coming up, we got a call from some people that said, Villagers for Trump. Why don't you guys go ahead and see if you can get a bus of people that wants to go to the rally. We ride down together. So Denise was kind enough to take her and Suzanne Zimmerman and a couple other folks to take it on as a challenge. And so they started filling buses up, and they got the first bus full, got the second bus full, got the third bus full, got the fourth bus full, and man, I'm saying, where does this end? And then they got the fifth bus full of people, and then people started getting little tweets from President Trump saying, oh, there's going to be about 160,000 people down there for a 20,000 seat auditorium. And Denise and I talked, and we just thought it was only right and proper that people that went online to get their ticket and maybe could not get in would have a chance to maybe back away. And so Denise really did just a great job of allowing people to get their money back, and she's still working out some of those financial details, but I think it's the right thing. But nonetheless, Denise, you had a couple of buses that went down, and we had one from up in Ocala. So Denise, if you would, share some of that excitement that you guys, that electricity you felt with President Trump in the room down at Orlando. Denise Hill.
All of you who've called me, making cancellations, making reservations, being on wait list, I'm happy to say that, we're trying to get everything resolved. I have two of the participants here that are going to speak a little bit and let you know how it was there.
Yeah, my name's Ed Cash. We got there just at the right time. We were there at 10:15 and we were in line by 10:30. We were midway in line, and that gave us time to get refreshments, use the restrooms, and so on. And it rained though, so we used our rain ponchos. Finally, when we made it in, it was magnificent. I mean, the crowd was ecstatic. The enthusiasm was great. Okay? So if you didn't go, if you're going to a Trump rally, it's an all-day event, and it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people. You get to cheer. You get to see the first family up close, like we did. It's a very blessed thing. This is my chance to plug the water. If you saw in the hallway, we have this magnificent blue bottle with Trump 2020 and the Village's logo and website on it. It is to support our club and to show your enthusiasm. You can share your enthusiasm with your friends and neighbors. It's a great tool. Okay? It's $25 a case. So that's a great deal for us. Okay? The extra buck is for delivery. But 24 bottles in a case. Share a case with your friends. We're taking orders at the back. We need a few more orders. So if you can make your way to the back at the end. If you have a check with you, that's great if we're cash. If you don't, just put a commitment down and you can pay later. Okay? But it would be nice to get the commitments in tonight so we can get them by the next meeting. Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And you go back again, right?
They talked me into being the bus monitor, so I had to take attendance. It was fun.
Thank you, Ed. Were you a bus monitor too? No, I wasn't. Well, come up and introduce yourself if you would, please, and share your experience. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm Melody Vincent. I went to the truck rally. It was my very first rally, I'm sad to say. I tried to go to another one, but I had a death in the family, couldn't make it. So this one was awesome. We got there, the vibe outside was amazing. The people were revved up and on fire. And then they had the family, Trump's family come out, Laura Trump and Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and all of these people were out there, and I was like this far away from them. They, their backs were to us, and then they had the screen show in the front because we were on film. But man, it was amazing. Then when I got in, I lucked up, got on the floor, and I was probably not all the way to the back of the room, but somewhere in the back 3 or 4 rows. I was that close to the President of the United States. I was that close to my hero. He is my hero. You guys, he has saved our country. Literally saved our country. And you think that we're in a hurry? We are not. We will have victory in 2020. He will win in 2020. Because the majority of the people stand with him. Lies, false voters, all of that nonsense is going to be cleared out. That will not affect this election. He will come through with a red wave that America has never seen before. He is the best president we've ever had. And I got to experience being that close to him. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're talking about our efforts here. Yeah, look at the signs. I don't know about you guys, but I have my golf cart covered with Trump signs. And we have, thanks to the Action and Mobilization Committee, and Donna Hoke is in the back of the room, we've had a couple golf cart parades here in the villages with nearly 500 carts twice. I told Donna that's pretty good. But I think between now and the next election, 1,000 would be better. So if you don't have your front golf cart signs, walk. Let everybody see who you are. Raise your hand. Okay, Walt has got got his golf cart, decorated up pretty good too. And I will tell you this, some liberal came up the other day and saw his golf cart and started making a noise like he's going to kind of take your little paraphernalia for Trump off of it and whatever. Walt went up, stuck his chest out and said, "You better not touch my golf cart." So anyway, get the signs, and I'll probably get about 15 or 20 thumbs up every day just riding around the villages with my Trump card on. But we also had a bus, thanks to David Sexton and his efforts, from Ocala, Marion County. And how was your all's experience at their rally? Kristen, come on up and share with the folks, please.
It was fabulous. It was going to the best pep rally that you could ever have in the whole state of Florida. We left Ocala at 11. We got there at 3. We got right in, and there were people everywhere, wall to wall. Thankfully, at the time that we sat down at about 3, there were people already in the nosebleed sections at 3 o'clock, and the rally didn't start until 8. For those of y'all who weren't there, they started with a fabulous prayer that was a 20 or 30-minute prayer. They started with probably the most amazing singer who sang the national anthem that I've ever heard. She had a beautiful voice. We then heard from the Trump family and Vice President Prince and the President, and the energy and respect for all the people that were there. It was just fabulous. And I had a friend who asked me, he said, "Kirsten, were there any minorities there? I didn't see that on TV." And there were. There were a big group of blacks for Trump and Latinos for Trump, and that wasn't shown on the TV. It was fabulous, and it was an experience that I will never forget and enjoyed. And I have to thank Dave Sexton and the people who helped him for taking about 40 of us down from Ocala. So, thank you.
Kristen, thank you. And running a couple minutes behind, but Trevor will make it up. But I want Art Alley to come up too. Art Alley just joined our board. He's really helping tremendously with putting together some technology things. But when he knew that several people wanted to go down to Orlando, couldn't get there, he decided to host a little bit of a watch party, he called it. And Art, you had a pretty good turnout for that too, did you not? And just share that with the folks, if you would, please.
Sure. Listen, thanks everybody for coming tonight. It's always a pleasure to see you. Back in November of 2016, America took back this country when they elected Donald Trump for the very first time. It was the movement that did it, but we cannot abandon that movement now. And basically what happened was the interest level of the kickoff campaign down in Orlando by you folks and by our membership was tremendous. Now, even though, like David said, we had a host of buses going from here and from Ocala, we still knew that there were going to be a certain number of people that for whatever reason just couldn't go down. So we decided to try to see about putting together a watch party. And to be honest with you, it was the first time we ever did an event like that. So we were expecting about 40 or 50 people. But guess what? We had almost or over 100 people at Gators that night. Yes. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of the volunteers, the members like you who volunteer that helped us put together that event in such short notice. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Jim Hickman, who's the manager at Gators. He really helped us put that together. And I want to give a special thanks to Larry Kroom from the Village's News. Larry was there the entire event, did a fantastic coverage, spoke to as many of the people that were there as possible. So let me ask you a question. How many of you right here tonight either went to Orlando, watched the event on TV, or joined us down in Gators and Brownwood? Raise your hand. All right. That is absolutely fantastic. And you know what? I want to especially thank each and every one of you, because we need volunteers like you if we're going to help Donald Trump win in 2020. So remember this: 4 more years. Let me hear it again. 4 more years. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm going to go a little bit out of order, but we're disappointed me. We'll have rallies like this, and our membership folk in the back will get your all's names and maybe some committees that you'd be willing to help us with. And then, unfortunately, you kind of drop off. And I will tell you, to do what we as a board wants to do between now and next election cycle, we need a lot of help. And so consequently, a lot of y'all may not even know this, but we are leasing an office with the Republican Club, Marina and Jerry's group, down on Route 44. And we thought that we would go ahead, and it should be on, if you got your little bulletin here, if you look at July the 9th, Tuesday, we have a volunteers meet and greet at Trump 2020 Victory Headquarters. It does not have the time on there, but make a note if you would. We're okay. What do you? Suzanne is telling me that it's on also a big sheet that is on your seat there, a big sheet of paper on your seat. So thank you. So anyway, it's 10 o'clock and it goes to about 1 o'clock. And the three things we're going to try to focus on for anybody to be kind of, if you want to help us and do anything, come on to the open house. It'll be open 10 to 1. Come by anytime you can. We'll have several of our board people there. But we specifically want to try to get help with a new fundraising committee, number one. Number two, we really want to look at an opportunity that we have for help within our administration committee. And therefore, if you've ever done any kind of secretarial work, legal work, whatever, we really could use you. And then the third thing is we're starting to plan our big money raiser for the year, and that is going to be our Trump Day dinner in October. And we've got Erica Yeager that helped. Erica, are you here? Raise your hand if you're here. Erica? Erica helped us last year. And she's in the back. Okay, let everybody see who Erica, let everybody see who you are. Yeah, okay, she's in the back. She helped us last year, and the whole thing about planning the food and the tickets and the tables and the logistics is a big deal. So please, if you would be kind enough to help Erica also do that. But I'd like to introduce one of our new board members right now, Diana Hammond, to come up. And Diana, just share a couple quick ideas. You know me, I'm running out of time, so I'm already behind a little bit. But a couple ideas about what our new fundraising committee might be doing.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Hammond, and I am the new secretary of this club. I'm really excited for this opportunity because, as you, I am American. I love this country. My husband is a veteran, and I'm very blessed to have my strong faith in God, and I believe that where we're going, if he wasn't here, it would be in a bad place. So I have volunteered to become the chair of the fundraising committee. I want to focus on, I know we're working on the Trump dinner, which is really exciting, but what I want to focus on is a golf tournament. I have done golf tournaments for Rotary International, for my Rotary Club many years ago. You know, we've gone somewhere up to 60,000 in one day in funds. So I really want to focus on something. So that's one thing I want to look at. And I've got like 5 other events that I'm looking at setting up. I need volunteers. And I'm not asking for a full-time job. We're all volunteers. A couple of hours, 1 or 2 hours a week would really be beneficial. Some of you have got some different resources or some ideas that can help bring things to the table, and I'm really looking forward to that. So there's a sign up back there. Again, I'm Diana. I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully you can come on the 9th and get to meet us, and we can have a chance to talk, and I can tell you all the details that I've got about it, and to excite you. Like I said, this is just a little bit to help us to get this. We can't do what we want to do with this club without the fundraising events really going forward and building it, okay? Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. We got 2 more minutes before we introduce Pam Dahl to bring up our guest speaker. And we've, at each meeting, had what we call the legislative report from Jan Morrow. And Jan is here tonight. And Jan, if you would, just give us a little bit of a flavor about what has happened legislatively since our last meeting. Jan Morrow from AMAC, everybody.
Okay, no short jokes. But that's okay. I just was with my grandchildren and they're getting taller than me. I only have one that isn't. No, I have a couple others. Okay, I mentioned this quote the last time I was here. Think about this. The condition upon which God hath given liberty to man is eternal vigilance. And figure this one out. Liberty does not necessarily mean freedom. Okay? It's a different term, but it's important. And this is a very important quote. And the reason why I want to talk about this is I'm going to do this quickly. I have a lot of things on legislation, but I want you to pay attention to the fact that we are drowning in legislation. And the reason we are is because of me and you. We have not been vigilant. We have to pay attention to what they're doing to us. We go vote for them, they get elected, they make a lot of money, then they make extra money on the side, and they do whatever they want. They create legislation to control you. Please understand that. Get involved. Get in front of Congressman Webster. He's a pretty good guy, but there's legislation. Thank you, Lord, for not hurting my computer. Okay, so you get the picture. Okay, H.R. 6, that's still going on. That's the DACA. And it's actually in the Senate. There's a couple Senate versions now, as you can see. And Lindsey Graham is one of those guys who has got a version. I want you to do some research. Look at that. Make your voice heard. Okay? Here we have the Equality Act. We know that passed the House. The Senate bill is 788. Now keep in mind, we have one Republican, Collins from Maine. No surprise. Okay? That Equality Act is pretty ugly. Oh, this is why this is important. You think this is unusual? It's not. You think this is just in the United States? It is not. I was reading articles, seeing the same thing going on in Mexico and across the globe. Now, what is going on? This is a concerted effort by certain individuals who want to destroy the family unit. This individual is a drag queen. And our libraries across the country are allowing this. I can tell you for a fact that in South Carolina, they had a drag queen come in. They spent $30,000 in federal protection of that individual. Why would they do that? It's real. That's why you need to be involved. I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. And I did see a video on one of the drag queens talking to the children about how many of you would like to do this someday. How many of you would like to and I'm not kidding you. That is the reality. This is a very important bill, and everybody says, well, Donald Trump isn't going to sign it into law. But you know what? We need to be vigilant. We need to be talking to our senators in the state of Florida and telling them no. Okay, that's the Equality Act. It really pretty much destroys our ability to control what our children are doing, and the churches will be silenced. Completely silenced on this. People will go to jail if they speak out against this. So remember when everything was all about, well, it's just sexual identity. Well, our civil rights bill said sex based on male and female. And over the years, they've taken it to a new level, and this is where we've ended up. Okay, let's go to the Physician Pro Bono Care Act. We're getting more co-sponsors. Dan Webster is the congressman that put this forth. Allows physicians to take a tax deduction for treating Medicaid population for free. They've been doing that for a long time now. It gives them an opportunity to get that tax deduction. Okay, let's go to, I said, the legislative alerts and voter guides. But you know what? Wait a minute. Oh, Trump. Thank God for Donald Trump, because I want you to see this. This is an executive order, and this is a Trump rule. This did not go through Congress. So this executive order improving price and quality transparency in American healthcare to put patients first. A Kaiser polled the 67% worried about their unexpected medical bills. And the reason why is because there's no transparency. So he allowed this to go forth, and we're really excited about that. And AMAC, the organization I work for, wrote a letter of support on this. The other rule is this one, the new Trump rule, which will start January 2020. It allows employees can use HRA accounts to shop for their own health care. DPC is direct primary care, allows you to go see a physician for about $50 a month. You can see that individual as many times as you want. They offer reduced costs of medications, any types of labs or x-rays. It's really great. And the state of Florida about a year ago said this does not count as health insurance, which is very good for people who live in Florida. So those are really good bits of legislation. Okay, David's behind me, but I'm going to go to one more thing of interest that I think is good. So these are quotes of interest. No amount of evidence will persuade an idiot. I thought that's good to understand. So don't waste your breath, okay? This one, I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Thomas Jefferson. And this one here, just wondering why so many people from around the world are climbing fences that should get into our concentration camps. And with that, I end. And if you have any questions, I will be in the back. I have further information. Thank you very much. And God bless you.
Jane, come on up to the 50-50 if you would, please. We appreciate Jan. And by the way, just tonight, a representative from AMAC, who has 2 million members, said that they would like to work with our Republican Club and the Villagers for Trump to get the man himself here between now and the next election. Thank you very much for that kind offer. And Stan, are you, where's Stan at? Okay, who's got the, Stan's coming on up. And while he's doing that, we want to the way that we fund these meetings, we pay for the room. Let me tell you this. Tonight, it's a big treat to have the guest speaker that we have. If you haven't heard it before, you're really going to enjoy him. But we contacted a couple of speakers last week, and they said, okay, our speaking fees are $15,000, plus you take care of our lodging, plus you take care of our airline tickets. And we said, well, we're not quite there yet. And when we heard that Trevor just wanted to get the information that he has out to you, and that he would come without even a speaking fee, that's a big deal to our club right now. But right now we pay for the rooms. We keep these rooms open to anybody that wants to come. You do not have to be a village resident to come in here. So we have that. We have other expenses to run the club. So we're going to pass the hat, and thank you again very much for your generosity. And Mr. Stan, you've got now a 50-50. Let me draw.
We start at the front.
Okay.
We have 3 winners at $60 apiece. The first one is 702-9986. Next winner is 703-0074.
Hey, all right. And the third one.
702-9804.
Are you up to that?
Stand up.
Done.
Right now, Carol? Right now we are working on a debate with the Democratic Club of the Villagers and anybody else that's involved in the Democrats. So we'll be bringing you up to date on that. But it's going to be in September, and it's going to be a debate between the two parties. So it should be an exciting night.
Stan, thank you very much. And look at your bulletin. We got all of our upcoming dates and events on our bulletin, so please take it home with you. It is on September the 5th. We're still working out the details. Ms. Barbara?
I'm giving the money back to the Trump Club. Thank you.
Oh, Barbara Price, thank you very much. Thank you. Pam Dahl, you will come up now and introduce the speaker. We're still, I think, passing the buckets. But Pam Dahl has worked with conservative groups here in the villages for a long time. She's been a great resource to help us to bring in speakers, and she's got a real special treat for you tonight. I know you're going to enjoy it. Thank you for your patience and allowing us to get through the first part of our program, but the best is coming in. Pam Dahl.
It's so great to see a lot of former Tea Party people here tonight. The gentleman that I'm going to introduce you tonight can be no more of an American than almost all of you here tonight. He was born and raised in New Zealand. He is a foreigner like myself, and he's naturalized, and he came the right way. But Trevor took it upon himself to do a lot of research about what's going on in the United States. And I doubt very seriously if anybody knows the information that he has uncovered. He caught the eye of a gentleman by the name of Glenn Beck. Do you know who he is? Well, he had Glenn Beck have him on his show, and Glenn Beck said that all the information that he's received and uncovered and brought to the American people on his show was given to him by this one particular gentleman, Trevor Loudon. Trevor is now a new American citizen. I am very proud to say that I've known Trevor for over 10 years, and he's become one of my favorite people and one of my dear friends. And now, please, Trevor Loudon. A warm welcome.
Thank you very much, Pam. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
You understand the southern accent all right? Good. Look, it's a great crowd, it's very impressive, and the colour is great to look at. It's fantastic, so thank you all. I want to start with a little story. Any refugees from California here tonight? Okay. You'll understand this. I was out in Los Angeles, and I love street food. I walked up to a street vendor, I bought some food, gave him the money. He said, you've got an accent. Where are you from? I said, I'm from New Zealand. He said, well, where's that? So to make it easy for him, I said, look, it's down near Australia. He said, where Arnold Schwarzenegger comes from. So now you know why they vote like they do in California. Look, people ask me all the time, they say, why as a New Zealander would I care about the United States? And I say there are two reasons. The first is gratitude. My country was facing invasion during World War II by the Japanese army. And if it hadn't been for the sacrifice of your fathers and uncles and grandfathers at the battles of Guadalcanal and the Coral Sea and Midway, we would have been done, folks. So we understand what it's like to have a big brother who looks out for us. The second reason is related, but it's a little more selfish. You know, Ronald Reagan had it right. This is the last best hope for mankind. If freedom should ever fail in the United States, if you should ever lose your constitution, your liberty, your economic dynamism, and your military superiority, all of which took a huge trashing through the Obama years. If that trend had continued, folks, it wouldn't be long until we were living in a world run out of Beijing and Moscow and Tehran and Havana. And is that the kind of world you'd like to leave to your children, people? So anybody who cares about liberty has to care about America. Now, I'd like to say a couple of things about the last election. The first is this. Does anybody think the 2016 election I'm referring to, does anybody believe there may have been a touch of the miraculous upon that election? I think even our atheist friends would have to acknowledge that one, right? No, Hillary was supposed to win. It was all over bar the shouting. But it didn't turn out that way. But I don't see that election as saving America so much as a giving America another chance. A stay of execution. And if you look at the Old Testament, there are a lot of times when the Israelites got a second chance, right? You know, I'll give you another chance. Get it right this time. But how many times did they get a third chance? Well, we're in our second chance, people, and we better use it. Now, electing President Trump didn't save America, but it gave us a great opportunity. It gave all of us a chance to work like blazers for 18 months with some of the greatest people in the country to save the future for our children. That's what it gave us, people. Is that a great opportunity or what? Second thing I'll say about the election. I know there's a lot of people here, Tea Party, Republican Party, political activists. You've written out checks, you've driven miles, you've put up yard signs, you've knocked on doors, you've phone banked, and you've done it for years often with very little thanks. But answer me this. Was all of that hard work worth it on election night 2016? Absolutely. Now the third thing, slight change of tenor. The Germans have a wonderful word, Schadenfreude. It means to take pleasure in the pain of others. Now it's not a very noble thing, right? It's not something you boast about. But I want an honest answer. On election night 2016, about 2 o'clock in the morning, they panned the Democratic Party headquarters in New York, right? And when you saw those little snowflakes bawling their eyes out, and hugging each other, I guess you got a little bit of Schadenfreude, right? Well, I want you to feel tons of it in 2020, folks, because imagine what they're going to feel like when President Trump wins. Now, what I deal with is mainly national security. That's my movie there. And I deal with the aspect of it that we don't often discuss, and we should discuss a lot more. Now, I'm sure there's heaps of military people in this room, and I know you've all taken that famous oath to defend your country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? Now, which is more dangerous ultimately? Absolutely, you know, a soldier over there with a gun is bad, but somebody wearing a suit and tie in your Congress, trashing your Constitution every single chance they get, that is more dangerous. And you are sending your brave sons and daughters every day in uniform to fight those terrible overseas enemies with great bravery and efficiency. Do not they deserve that we make sure that our legislators have their back and not someone else's. So, there's been a lot of talk about the deep state in recent times, and that's sort of my subject, but at a slightly different level of it. Has anybody in this room, and I'm sure there'll be lots, ever had to undergo any form of FBI background check to get a private or public sector job? Quite a few. Even Pastor Gerald. Well done. Okay. I'm assuming you passed. Well, is it true that those checks can be pretty rigorous? They look at your family background, overseas travel, criminal convictions, even bounce checks. Because they need to know that you are going to be a loyal servant to the Constitution and can be trusted with government secrets and government responsibilities. But what if you're a young Marxist radical who hangs around with the Communist Party or Democratic Socialists of America, or hangs around with the Muslim Brotherhood, CARE or ISNA or IGNA, and you get put in a suit and tie and you get elected to Congress, where you may serve on the Homeland Security Committee or the Armed Services Committee or even the Intelligence Committee of the House of Representatives. How much of a background check do you need for that one, folks?
Get one.
Zero. Nothing. Because the people are supposed to vet the candidates, right? And the media is supposed to help you do it, right? Well, can you see the problem with that one? But surely there's no way that radicals or extremists could get into Congress, is there? Because surely the FBI would be vigilant and stop them, right? Just like they stopped Hillary, right? Well, think about this. The FBI has not investigated congressmen since at least the 1940s, if ever. And do you think our enemies may be aware of this little fact? That there's no security checks in Congress, no FBI scrutiny, and no media scrutiny either? Do you think America's enemies might sort of have cottoned on to that by now? I think maybe they might even try to exploit it. You know, the Iranians, the Russians, the Chinese, the Cubans. I think maybe they would try and do that. Well, but you know, the FBI, right? The FBI. So which committee in Congress does the FBI answer to? Or which committee oversees the FBI? Does anyone know? It's the most powerful committee in the US Congress, called the Judiciary Committee. Now that committee oversees the FBI and the Justice Department. And the FBI is supposed to catch the traitors in your government, and the Justice Department is supposed to prosecute them. That's how it's meant to work. Now on the Judiciary Committee for more than 40 years, you had what I regard as probably the biggest traitor who has served in the American Congress for 50 years. A man called John Conyers from Michigan. Now, he was the head of the Judiciary Committee for many, many years, probably 25, 26 years during his term of office. He got into Congress in 1966 and he left a year or two ago. Right? Now, John Conyers is the man who abolished your House Un-American Activities Committee, for instance, one of your last lines of defense against infiltration. But John Conyers had a 50-year history with the Communist Party USA, 40 years with Democratic Socialists of America, which is more left-wing than the Communist Party USA, and he was actively involved with the Workers' World Party, which supports North Korea and Cuba and Iran. They are the people who ripped down Confederate statues in Louisiana and North Carolina. And he was also a big fan of several Muslim Brotherhood front groups. And if you're not sure what the Muslim Brotherhood is, it's a secret group that started in Egypt in the 1920s with the goal of spreading Islam across the world. They worked with the Nazis during World War II, and after the Nazis were defeated, they switched their allegiance to the KGB. And they are banned in Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Russia but in America they work openly and legally through the Council on American Islamic Relations, Muslim Student Association, and a whole bunch of other groups. And when some of your Republican congressmen tried to get the Muslim Brotherhood in this country declared a terrorist organisation, which they are, John Conyers got up and said, oh no, and you can see him in the movie saying this, oh no, they're good people now, they've given up violence, they're a useful social service agency and we shouldn't go after them. John Conyers was a hardcore anti-American Marxist-Leninist. As hardcore as you can get people, yet he oversaw the Justice Department and the FBI. And who else is on the Judiciary Committee? You've got a woman called Judy Chu from California. Now, Judy Chu was a long-time supporter of the Communist Workers' Party, a militant pro-Chinese group. She goes to China on a regular basis, and they call her China's best friend in your Congress. And you should see Judy Chu go off on the FBI whenever they have the temerity to arrest one of the 25,000 plus Chinese spies currently working in this country. You are racist, she says. The FBI is a racist organisation. You're only persecuting these people because you hate Chinese. And she has arranged for sensitivity training for FBI officers so they don't persecute these poor Chinese spies. And then you had Luis Gutierrez from Illinois, Mr. Amnesty Man, a long-time supporter of the pro-Cuban Marxist-Leninist Puerto Rican Socialist Party, involved with the Communist Party, and also involved in several Muslim Brotherhood front groups. But here's the kicker. The Sean Hannity and others are all freaking out. We've got a socialist in Congress now, Ocasio-Cortez. She's a member of Democratic Socialists of America. Shock, horror. Well, the head of the Judiciary Committee, the man who wants to lead the impeachment of President Trump, joined Democratic Socialists of America in 1977. He is a complete Marxist, but he heads the Judiciary Committee now. So what's going to happen? The FBI says, we need to investigate congressmen. Is that okay with the Judiciary Committee? And can we have some money to do it? Do you think they're going to bite the hand that feeds them? What do you think is going to happen to their budget next year? And by the way, Mr. Nadler, you are one of the people we need to investigate. As are you, Mrs. Chu. As are you, Mr. Gutierrez. I'll give you a couple more examples. You check this out, and this is in this guy's words. This is not me saying this. This is filmed in here. There's a man called Andre Carson, who's one of your key 3 Muslim Congress members from Indiana. And he was at a Muslim Brotherhood Front conference in Connecticut in 2012. And he gets up in front of the audience and he has a big grin. And he says, people, I understand there are people in this audience spying on us. They are here undercover because they believe we are here plotting to destroy this country. And then he really grins. He says, well, I say to these people undercover, Allah will not allow you to stop us. This man serves on the Intelligence Committee, people, overseeing the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the DEA, all 16 of your intelligence agencies. There are 4 Marxists on the Intelligence Committee. There are about 5 on the Armed Services Committee. They're at the head of the Homeland Security Committee. Benny Thompson has long-time connections to the Cuban communists. He helped Fidel Castro. He arranged for a whole bunch of young American radicals to go to Cuba to get medical training in Cuba for free. And now all those young communists are in the cities of America agitating and causing trouble. And this man heads the Homeland Security Committee. I'll give you one example from the Senate. I could go on all night. Do you have a drug problem in America? Heroin, fentanyl, right? Well, by the way, guess where the fentanyl comes from? China. Do you think the Chinese authorities don't know that it's being shipped here? They have been shipping drugs to America since the Vietnam War, people. We say we're not at war with China. They're killing 60,000 young Americans a year. I don't know what else you have to do to declare war. But anyway, a lot of the cocaine and marijuana and some of the heroin comes from Colombia. And it's mainly shipped by a radical group called the FARC, a communist group that's been fighting the Colombian government for 50 years. And America has been supporting the Colombian government against the communists. Narco-terrorists, these people are called. Well, there's a support group for the Colombian communists up in Madison, Wisconsin. It's called the Columbia Support Network. And one of your senators, a woman called Tammy Baldwin, has been involved with it since 1993. And she has been down to Colombia to meet with these bad people. And she has used her position in your Congress to try and get US military aid cut off to the Colombian government so the Colombian communists can win that revolution. So they can send even more cocaine and marijuana and heroin to your young people. You have got at least 100 members of your House. That's 100 people. That's nearly a quarter of it. And 20 members of your US Senate, nearly 20% again, who are so enmeshed in neo-communism, involved with China, Iran, Cuba, or other enemy countries, or heavily involved in the Muslim Brotherhood, or sometimes all three. They couldn't pass a background check to drive a school bus. They wouldn't be allowed to clean the toilets at any military base in your country, but they are running the Democratic Party. Right now, people, Donald Trump Jr. said recently that the next election will be between freedom and communism. He said that on Fox News, folks. And he was not in the least exaggerating. Because the Democrats today are not the Democrats of Harry Truman and JFK. And I bet there's a whole bunch of ex-Democrats in the room tonight who, when the Democrats used to be patriotic, I used to vote for them, and I may have too in those days. John F. Kennedy would probably be one of you guys today. But anyway, they have gone so far to the left now. They are the people who marched for the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War. They are the people who supported the Nicaraguan Sandinistas in the 80s. And they're now in their 50s, 60s and 70s, and they want their revolution before they die. And I want to tell you now what I think is the single biggest national security threat you face, and this is directly related to the Democrats. Now, I'm not downgrading Russia or China or North Korea or ISIS, but the thing that can destroy you more quickly and surely than anything else is illegal immigration. Okay? Now just do a little bit of math. There are 100,000 coming across the border every month right now. 100,000. Right? But do this math. Now Mitt Romney lost his election in 2012 by 2.5 million votes. Okay? Donald Trump won by about 200,000 votes, thanks to the wisdom of your founding fathers and the Electoral College, and actually lost the popular vote by about 3 million. Now, MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, claims there are 22 million illegals in the country today. They've been telling us 11 million for the last 20 years. Some people say it's more like 45 million. But let's just go with 22, that's a reputable organisation, MIT. Well, if those people are given citizenship and voting rights, as Hillary Clinton promised to do within 100 days of taking office, if the next president, Democrat, gives them citizenship and voting rights, what proportion of them do you think will vote Democrat? Let's just be conservative and say 80%. Probably more like 98, but we'll go with 80%. So that gives the Democrats 15, 16 million new voters overnight. Instantly, you lose Florida. You lose North Carolina and Georgia and Arizona straight off. probably a whole bunch of other states, and probably Texas. If that happens, folks, America is gone. You will never elect another Conservative or Republican president, ever. Why do you think the Democrats are so hell-bent on keeping the borders open, folks? If 80% of those illegals voted Republican, I guarantee you Obama would have had the biggest fence on the border you have ever seen. Guarantee it. This is not about compassion, people. This is about raw power. Nothing else. They haven't got an argument. They have lost so much of their traditional Democrat base in the Midwest. The only way they can win now is bring more Democrats across the border. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to swamp you. Simple as that. Because these people want a one-party state, folks. They do not ever want to see another Republican president. Ever. Anybody think I'm exaggerating, folks? No. So, has anybody seen in their lifetime as much hatred and vitriol directed at a sitting president as this one? Not even Reagan, not Bush. It was never even remotely this bad, was it? So why is the hatred so intense? Well, I think there's two reasons. The first is really easy to understand. It's just human nature. Because those Democrats were so pumped up on election night, so confident of victory and complete power forever, they were so excited that when it all went bad, they were like a bunch of kids who thought they were going to get the biggest bike you've ever seen for Christmas, and they got a pair of socks. And we all know that feeling, do we not? But usually you move on after a year or so, don't you? But they're not. Because this is the real reason. The Democrats have been so infiltrated by Marxists and communists. They so much want complete power over this country. They will do anything to get it. Anything. And they had it in the bag, people. They were this close. And you and that President Trump stole it from them. Just right from under their noses. And they got one chance to take it back. One chance, because you see, this is the way it is. If you're a Democrat, today's Democrats, they don't have arguments. What they have is blocks of voters. They own the black vote, so they think. They own the Latinos. They own the soccer moms. They own the millennials. They own the Native Americans. They own the Muslim Americans. All of these things, they get their little blocks and they all add them up till they get 51%. Now, President Trump went out to the black community and said, hey guys, so this is your inner city after 50 years of voting Democrat. Poverty, crime, fatherlessness, drugs, just a disaster. Why don't you guys vote for me? What do you got to lose? And a whole bunch of them did. Black approval of President Trump is around 29%. We haven't seen that since Abraham Lincoln, people. For a Republican, black, it's way up. And this is freaking the Dems out. Because if they normally have 90% of the black vote. If they only get 80% or 70%, they're done. They are freaking. And when President Trump went out to those white union guys out in Pennsylvania and Ohio, and said, so, is this what NAFTA and voting Democrat has done for your communities? Where's all those high-paying union jobs? Where's all those big factories and steel mills that used to be out here? Why do they call us the Rust Belt? You cannot defend your country without an industrial base. And he's told these people, we are going to rebuild American industry. We're going to rebuild American industry in the heartland. And for the first time in their lives, a whole bunch of these guys out in Western Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan went down to the ballot box and they ticked the box for a Republican. First time in their lives, people. And again, this is freaking the Democrats out. This is their base that is eroding. People, they understand, maybe better than we do, that if this president is successful, the Democrats are done. Okay? If he can keep the taxes coming down, get that border wall built so young black kids can get jobs in their own communities again, go to college, get apprenticeships. If he can, keep the regulations coming off business, you imagine the money that is going to flow into this economy. Have you noticed any difference between the Trump economy and the Obama economy? Just a little bit. Well, there's still a lot of money out there that wants to come in, but they're looking at the next election and they're worried. Because they don't want to put $1 billion into a plant in Michigan if President Democrat is the next one in. So they're still hanging back. If President Trump gets re-elected, you're going to see money flowing into this country like we have never, ever seen. And with the lack of illegal immigration, you're going to see American jobs increase and American wages go through the roof. We're going to see an economic boom like you've never seen before. And at the end of the next 4-year term of President Trump, what are the Democrats going to have to offer, people? Because they've lost a chunk of their black base, their Latino base. Those white union guys are going to come across permanently, and they're out of power for 30 years, people. But the Democrats have a plan, right? They always do. The devil always looks after his own. Now, anybody remember the old Rainbow Coalition of the 1980s? That great scamster Jesse Jackson, right? Well, he had a very clever idea. And he got this from a Black Panther in Chicago who was shot and killed in a shootout with the police. Name is Fred Hampton. And Fred Hampton had the idea, you form a Rainbow Coalition. You get the white radicals working with the black radicals and the brown radicals. You form a unified radical front. Now, Jackson expanded this into electoral politics. So he got, and this is his terminology, people, this is not my terminology. You get the white progressives and the black progressives and the Asian American progressives for the yellow stripe, and you get the gays for the lavender stripe, and you get the environmentalists for the green stripe, though now it'll be the Muslim stripe. You'd get the, so you'd have the brown Latinos for the brown stripe. He had a rainbow coalition. All the radicals joined together. Now, he got 7 million votes with that in 1988 and 4th in the Democratic primary, which shocked a lot of people because he's regarded as a nutcase even then. Okay? But he did pretty well. But in those days, minorities were 12% of the population. Now they are 38% of the population. His idea was before its time. Now, the Rainbow Coalition was run almost exclusively at the top by pro-Chinese Maoist communists from the Communist Workers' Party, the League of Revolutionary Struggle, and the Line of March, all totally radical groups. And they ran the coalition. When he lost in 88, Jesse Jackson went off into other scams, the Rainbow Coalition collapsed, and the League of Revolutionary Struggle, which had 3,000 members, dissolved. Most of them went into the Democratic Party. Now, one of them was a young black lawyer from Stanford University, black law student named Steve Phillips. And he was Jesse Jackson's West Coast student organizer for the Rainbow Coalition in 84 and 88. And he learned a lot from that experience. So Steve Phillips became a Democrat. I was on the school board in San Francisco in the early 90s. But what he did, he married his Stanford University sweetheart, a young woman called Susan Sandler. Well, Susan's parents, Herb and Marion Sandler, used to own Golden West Savings and Loan, 5th biggest FSNL in the country. And they sold it for $2.6 billion to Wachovia Bank, and all the subprime loan mortgages in it sent Wachovia bankrupt, and they had to go and amalgamate with Wells Fargo. But anyway, the Sandlers had $2.6 billion, and they brought half of it into the left, into the Democratic Party, communist groups, etc. So here's Steve Phillips. His parents-in-law are just putting hundreds of million dollars into the left, and he is chosen, because he's a leftist, to work with these groups, to say where the money's going to go, to liaise with the Democrats. Now in 2005, Steve Phillips was sent down to Atlanta, Georgia, and he met George Soros and Tom Steyer and Norman Lear from People for the American Way, plus a whole bunch of other left-wing billionaires, and that's where they set up a group called the Democracy Alliance, which is now more than 150 members strong, and they are putting hundreds of millions of dollars a year into the left. And Steve Phillips tells them where to put it. Now in 2008, Steve Phillips got $10 million together, and he re-ran the Rainbow Coalition strategy in 18 southern and southwestern states. Did big voter registration and get out the vote efforts in 18 states that had large populations of blacks and Latinos who obviously leaned Democrat but didn't normally vote. And he got them out voting, and that's what got Barack Obama, his good friend, in front of Hillary Clinton. He gave us Barack Obama. So today, Steve Phillips runs Power PAC, which invests money in candidates of colour, Democracy in Colour, which is behind some of your top candidates right now. And he's written a book, and you should go and Google this book. It's called Brown is the New White. It's endorsed by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama. It's a New York Times bestseller, and it is the Bible of the Democratic Party. And his argument is really simple. Democrats, you already have the majority, because 23% of the electorate are progressives of colour. Black, Latino, Asian American, Native American. 28% of the electorate are white progressives. They will vote Democrat no matter who's on the ticket. 23 plus 28 is 51%. The new American majority. Google that phrase. It's all over the internet. The only problem is, says Steve, many of our base don't vote. So let's stop wasting hundreds of millions of dollars every election cycle to try and get those middle voters. Let's stop trying to get those 2% in the middle to go Democrat. Let's put those hundreds of millions of dollars into voter registration drives and get out the vote efforts in southern and southwestern states that have huge numbers of Latino and black voters who don't normally vote very much. For instance, in Arizona, Trump won Arizona by 200,000 votes. But there were 600,000 Latinos in that state who could have voted but didn't. That's where they're going. That is where all the Democrat money, the Soros money, the Steyer money is going, into the southern states. Forget the Midwest people, that's not where the real action is. The real action is down here. Now we saw this play out in Alabama with Roy Moore. You know, when he got in trouble, he should have easily won that Senate race. But when the scandal happened, Steve Phillips and his friends put $8 million into Alabama. They reinvigorated the communist networks that had been there since the civil rights era. And they mounted a vote or die campaign amongst the black and Latino communities. They told the black population if they didn't vote Democrat, the Klan was coming back. And they won that race by 20,000 votes. And the head of CARE in Alabama, Muslim lady, who was part of this coalition, boasted that Muslims won the race because they signed up 20,000 Alabama Muslims and they all voted Democrat, and that was the margin of victory. Now there's two other states we saw this happen big time in 2018. Now, Steve Phillips has two proteges. Well, he's got a whole bunch, but two of them are both black and they're both Marxists. And one of them ran for the governorship of Georgia, Stacey Abrams, and the other one ran for the governorship of Florida, Andrew Gillum. Okay? Both of them Marxist people, full-on Marxist. Both of them Steve Phillips protégés. Him and his friends put about $6 million behind Gillum and about $10 million behind Stacey Abrams. And both of them came that close to winning, folks. They lifted the Democrat vote 40% in this state. And only the miracle that Donald Trump endorsed the insurgent Republican candidate in each state, Ron DeSantis here, Brian Kemp in Florida, and they were tough and they called out their opponents, is the only reason we won. Because we lifted our vote too. So I called Andrew Gillum 5 months before the primary when he was on 7% and Gwen Graham was on 23%. And he was under FBI investigation. I said, he will be your nominee. I said this in Gainesville to a Tea Party group and I got a little bit of pushback. Because I knew what they were doing is they were putting hundreds of millions of dollars and thousands of volunteers into the black communities of Miami and Fort Lauderdale and Jacksonville and Orlando, and the areas were not normally polled. They were signing up hundreds of thousands of black and Latino voters under the radar, and they came that close, people, to winning this state. And the same people who did that were the same communists behind the referendum that gave 1.4 million felons the right to vote in this state. Okay? So we got our work cut out here, people. This is the most important state in the union, and you're in the most important part of the most important state. You guys, I don't want to put a big responsibility trip on you, but you are charged with saving Western civilization. Okay? Now, I want to tell you who the Democrats are going to run in 2020. And again, I called this out well over a year ago. Now, Steve Phillips, in college, here at Stanford, he had 3 friends, or 3 people in his circles. One of them was a young Latino guy. There were 2 Latino brothers from San Antonio. One became the mayor of San Antonio, one became the head of HUD, one of them is now running for president. That's Julian Castro. He comes out of the Steve Phillips stable. There's another one. Steve Phillips also had a friend who was a young black football player. He was a radical, not the most militant, but he was pretty radical. And Steve Phillips put a whole bunch of money behind him. He put $6 million behind him in 2012, and that's how Cory Booker became senator from New Jersey. Okay? A complete Steve Phillips protege. Owns him. Both black, Latino, black, because this is going to be a rainbow coalition. This is going to be a rainbow coalition election. So you can forget Bernie or Biden. They're not even in the running, people. I can tell you straight. Now, Steve Phillips also had a friend at Stanford who was a real young radical. Her father was a Marxist professor at Stanford. She became a top operative in the Hillary Clinton campaign, and her husband, on Steve Phillips' recommendation, and he put dozens of people into the Obama administration, he became number 3 in the Justice Department under Eric Holder. That woman's name is Maya Harris. She's now running her sister's campaign, that is Kamala Harris. Kamala is the anointed one, people. Forget all the rest, she will be at the top of the ticket. Maybe with Pete Buttigieg, whose father is also a Marxist, and he is a Marxist, or maybe Julian Castro, or maybe Cory Booker. But it will be Kamala at the top. Because this is identity politics, rainbow coalition. She's half black, she's half Asian Indian, she's a woman. This is touching all the bases for identity politics, right? And then you have a Latino, probably, or a gay guy on the VP. You promise amnesty for all the illegal immigrants. You fire up the base. You get all the minorities voting, and you hope to win with 51, 52, 53% of the vote. Then you legalise every single illegal immigrant in the country, and you rule America forever. That's the plan. Does any of this sound a little bit far-fetched or implausible? So we've got to understand this is not a cakewalk. President Trump's going to win, but he's going to have a heck of a fight on his hands, and he needs an army. George Washington did not win the Revolutionary War all by himself, folks. And we're in a similar position today. So this is where we are. If we sit on our backsides, and I know you folks are not going to, but you need to get every one of your friends involved in this. You need to be phone banking and door knocking. You've got to make sure you've got no holidays booked in election season next year, people. We need you on the ground. Right on the ground. Because this is your future at stake, people. This is your children's future right on the line here. So, if we blow this great God-given opportunity, the consequences are pretty dire. Pretty dire. But if we win, and we absolutely can win, because that 2016 election, that convinced me that God is not finished with this country yet, folks. Absolutely. But if we win, we can have a whole bunch of changes that we've only begun to dream about for years. You know, we're going to have an economic boom. We're going to have regulations coming off. We're going to have a boom in liberty here, not just here either. We're going to inspire liberty revolutions all over the planet, folks. And I'll tell you one thing we really need to do. We all know we're losing our children, folks. Because when Jimmy Carter put the Department of Education in 1970, whatever it was, he gave the biggest bunch of child molesters in the country carte blanche with our children. And they have used it ever since to indoctrinate them and take them away from being patriots, take them away from the truth. How many of you know a really hard-working, working-class family who slaved away to finally get one of their kids into college, and on the first Thanksgiving, that kid come back and told them how stupid they were and how they hated America? This is happening all over, folks. This is one of the things we've got to do when President Trump gets re-elected. We've got to start a campaign. We have got to get that Department of Education abolished, people. And think about the Supreme Court. Now, President Trump has put a whole bunch of people into lower courts. This is going to have implications for decades, which is why the left are freaking out about it. And look at the Supreme Court. Now, one of America's biggest problems is that for 60 years, you have had leftists controlling the Supreme Court. They make a bad decision, they call that precedent, they pile another bad decision on top of that, then another one on top of that, and another one on top of that. So now 80% of what your federal government does is unconstitutional. And that is starting to be rolled back. And that is with a 5-4 majority with a very flaky Roberts. Okay? We know he's a flake. He votes our way more than he votes theirs, but he ain't reliable. Well, imagine if President Trump gets elected again. Okay, 6 years. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is pretty old, people. Okay? The health is not that great. 6 more years. Now, she has publicly said she would love to come and retire in New Zealand.
Now.
Well, I'm willing to take one for the team, people. You can send her down to New Zealand, she can play bingo all day long, and you'll get a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. Now think of what that will do to for your Second Amendment rights, your First Amendment rights, your religious liberties, all the government departments that can be abolished by having a Supreme Court that actually sticks to the Constitution. Think of what we can achieve with that, people. At the end of a Trump presidency, second presidency, we could have a transformed nation, an education system back under your control, low taxes, a booming economy, a rebuilt military. All the things we've been trying to do for years are now within our grasp. So I'm not here just to say how terrible it will be if we lose. Well, it will be. I'm here to say how fantastic it could be if we win. Donald Trump Jr., President 2030, perhaps? But anyway, so here, what I'm saying to you is this. I know what you guys do. I know the sacrifices you make. I know the checks you write. I know the work you do. I'm asking you to double down, people. Because the next 18 months is going to decide the fate of not just this country, but every free country. Not just my children's future, your children's future, everyone's future. Every election they say, this is the most important election of our lives. Well, this one is. Because in 18 months, either the Trump agenda stops or it gets full blast going with everything behind it. Imagine the difference that will make to this country. So I can't promise you much, folks, but I can promise you two things. If you do nothing, if you waste this opportunity, your children and grandchildren will live in slavery in this country. That's the way it is. But if you give it everything you've got, everything that is within you, for your God, your constitution, your country and your family, two things may happen. One, you may try your absolute hardest and give it your absolute best, and maybe we still lose. Maybe. But at least you will all earn the right to look your children in the eye and say, I did everything I possibly could. What is that worth to you, folks? But if you win, and I'll repeat what I said before, that 2016 election, that convinced me that God is not finished with this nation yet, people. If you win, and you absolutely can win, you'll spark an economic boom like you've never seen before. You'll spark a liberty boom like you've never seen before. You'll see a spiritual revival in this country that is long overdue. And you will give your children a chance to live in not just the amazing country that you inherited, but one even greater. Is that worth fighting for, folks? So I want to say to you folks, thank you so much for what you do for liberty, for my country, for America. God bless America, and God bless President Trump, and God bless you.
All right. We appreciate he came here because he had a message, and just like the guy down in Orlando a couple of weeks ago, he didn't have any notes up here. He just spoke off the cuff a little bit. And what a great job there for you, everybody. Thank you for that great information. If you would,
Look, a bit of shameless self-promotion. I've got my DVD there. I've got about 70 copies left. This had 1 million views in 1 month on Amazon. It exposes the Marxists and communists and radicals right now in your government. If you're fighting a war, you need to know your enemy. I want you all to come up, grab a copy, take one to your church, take one to your Tea Party group, get some friends round. That will knock their socks off. So please come and see me and my son at the end. And I want to say, I love you guys, and thanks for having me.